Good Monday morning and welcome to the WLBB Community Voice here on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3. I'm your host this morning, Colin Worthington. We are also live on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. Thanks to Joel Brock, Chief Videographer for Credit Communications, for handling those duties this morning. We are into week 2 as far as introducing you to local candidates in local races. Last week we introduced you to Kenneth Huddleston and Vicki Anderson, both of them running for the District 6 County Commissioner position. Also, Will Godby was here, I believe it was Tuesday. He's challenging the incumbent Steve Fuller for County Commissioner District 4. Steve will be on the program either this week or next week. I'm pretty sure it's next week, actually, that Steve will be on the program. Later on this week on Thursday, we'll be speaking to Debbie Neal, also a candidate for District 6. But this morning, we are speaking to Danny Bailey. He is, again, one of 4 candidates running for District 6. So we've got Bailey, Huddleston, Anderson, and Neal all running for that District 6 seat. And, again, Danny's our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. So good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, Colin?
Doing great, thank you. It's good to meet you. Good to finally get you in studio
yes,
to talk to you about this campaign. Danny was the first person that I was aware of that was seeking this seat. So I got to ask you first, would you have sought this seat had George not decided not to run this year?
Yes, sir. Actually, I had spoken with George, and he kind of told him what my intentions was and everything. So I had all intention running this time.
Well, how long have you been interested in representing that district?
Last couple times the seat's been up for a re-election, I had considered it. And one other time I think I spoke with George, and timing just wasn't right for me, so I kind of decided to buy out of those two. But this time it just felt like it's where I need to be and decided to go for it.
Is there a particular issue, something that motivated you to run? I was thinking about Will Godby on Tuesday. He was 15 years old and always wanted to kind of represent.
It's not a particular issue, nothing that's going on in the county that had really got me to this point, other than the fact it's just something I wanted to do. And then you kind of look around and see the county changing and how it's growing, and kind of concerned for direction we could go in as far as growth out in that district. So, but as far as a particular reason or to get into it, no, there's not one in particular area.
Well, tell us about yourself then.
All right, I live over in Bowden, born and raised there all my life. My kids was born in Bowden. They went to the Bowden School cluster over there. 2 of my kids are married and got their own families. They got 2 kids each. My youngest daughter's a University of West Georgia freshman over here. So I worked in the community when I was in the fire service. I worked in each and every one of those stations that's in that district, so I know the district really well. I go to church at Antioch Baptist Church. I serve as a deacon, a Sunday school director, on the finance committee, serve several different roles over there. So just feel like I really vested into that community and outside of that district.
And Danny Bailey, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, one of 4 candidates running for Carroll County Commissioner to represent District 6. District 6 has changed,
yes.
For beginning of this year based on the 2020 census. For people listening who may not know they're in District 6, yep. I'm in District 6 now, northern portion of Carrollton, and I wouldn't have been in there last year. But give us the boundaries for District 6. Okay,
and it's changed a little bit since the last time since we did the redistrictings. But if you kind of go, let's just start on the north side of the county up there of 113. You'll go up Center Point Road where it turns into Levens, and Levens will lead back into Haralson County. So everything on the right-hand side of that. Then to follow the Haralson County line back over to Alabama, come down the Alabama line all the way to Heard County. Then when you get to Heard County, it kind of crosses over. We'll just use Highway 5 for a boundary, but there's some roads south of that. Mm-hmm. Highway 5 back over to Bethesda Church, comes north back towards 166, then it stays west of the river, and it works itself back around in front of the new Coliseum at West Georgia's got, and crosses over 16 and comes back out around Moat Road.
That's the best answer I've got to that question since we've been doing this program.
That goes back to my fire department days where I actually understand and know this district. I know this district well, probably better than, and I feel certain to say better than most candidates will.
You'd mentioned Levens Road. You know who that's named after?
Johnny Levens. That'd be great.
Is that Donald's dad? I was going to say, yes, it's Donald's family for sure.
Yes, definitely.
That's cool. We never mentioned that road on here before. But so when you look at that district, previously I always thought of it, I'd always consider it like the Bowden district.
That's right.
It always had Mount Zion in it too. But now, and I never want to suggest that Carroll Countyans are so different from each other, because we're really not. It's not a giant city in Carrollton, but I think there are different ideas when you think about if you're covering some of the city of Carrollton in that district, and going back to Bowden and along to the state border. But how do you see that now? I mean, do you see that you're working for 2 or 3 different groups of people now? I mean, and how do you work that?
I don't know if there's different groups of people, maybe different groups, different areas, geographical areas. But as I've been out talking to people, you kind of find everybody's got the kind of same interest in common, and that goes back to just wanting good quality services for the county to put out there. They are genuinely concerned about the growth area, even down towards the city part of it. I think the people I have found, they're worried about the growth. I don't think anybody I've met is interested in becoming one of the cities to the east of us.
Nobody's excited about traffic.
That's right. So I don't know what the people are that much different. Maybe have a different way of getting to where we want to go, but I think everybody has the same agenda to get to that end.
And this is along the same lines. What are the best things about District 6, you think, the new District 6 that you'll be working with?
Well, even in the northern section of it, when you go up in that area, it has changed a good bit since I was stationed at Hog Liver up there. But just the peace and quiet, I guess, and the tranquility, and the further you go west with it, the open farmland, that's the best part about it. I think that's what makes people want to come to this area. But if we're not careful, then we'll too be swallowed up in that housing market or whatever. And we know growth's going to come, so we just got to make sure that we manage that thing the best we can. But
Danny Bailey, one of 4 candidates running for County Commissioner, Carroll County, represent District 6. What's your philosophy on governing? What do you think what do you think government's job is?
It's to serve the people first and foremost. Less is better. And definitely need to do that. But I think the number one thing is we got to remember, as elected officials, as a county government, we're here to serve the people. We work for the people. We don't work for ourselves, and we don't work for special interest groups. We work for the people, and I think sometimes we forget that.
If you were initiating something to be done in county government, what department would that represent? What do you think your focus would be? I mean, if you were to initiate something on your own, what department do you think that would benefit the most?
Honestly, it'd probably go to public safety for the sheriff's department and for the fire department, but we also got to remember that all these county employees are very important, and I think that they're our best asset that we got in that. So we have to look at it as a broad-based thing.
If you're meeting with the rest of the commission, board of commissioners, and they have an issue, then they turn to you because they're looking for your advice on it. What would that issue be that they think that you're the expert on, that you'd be able to help them the most with?
I mean, me personally, I think there's a couple areas that I can bring a difference to the table that I don't think any of the candidates have, and I don't think maybe even the other commissioners have. And that's the simple fact is, I have been a county employee. So I fully understand how that system works. And I know it's changed since I've been there. But you got the basics of how it is. I understand their needs there, and understand that they're here to do a good job, and they want to do a good job, and we just need the system and get them to that point to where they're in the best role that they can be to do that. And the other one is the simple fact is the fire service. I would hope that I would at least be able to understand their needs, their terminology they use, and the way they look at things and why they do it, because I served as a captain there for years.
Time right now is 8:38. You talk about the fire service. I don't know if I believe it was this year, beginning of this year, maybe end of last year. There was a gentleman that spoke up with some concerns about that. Actually, he may have done it last month, too. He's been out there for several months. Do you know of those issues, or those issues exist? Are they things that have been solved?
As far as that goes, I have heard.
What were the issues? I mean,
I don't really know what all the issues were on that. I don't know the inside, any part of that on that deal. I know they have, but I also know that I seem like they've done some things to correct those things, move ahead. I think they made a good hire in the 2 top positions. I think they headed in the right direction on that, and it's a department that would definitely have my full support.
All right. We're speaking with Danny Bailey, one of 4 candidates running for Carroll County Commissioner, represent District 6. Again, one of 4 candidates, Kenneth Huddleston, Vicki Anderson, and Debbie Neals, the other candidates who will be on the ballot May 24th. We believe early voting starts May 2nd. That's Monday, May 2nd. Correct. And we'll interview Debbie Neal on Thursday, so hope you tune in for that program as well. We'll take our first break right now and come back and continue our conversation with Danny Bailey here on the Community Voice, News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. Also on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page, and during the break I'll take a peek and see if you have any questions or comments for our guest this morning. More after this.
As a graduate of Oak Mountain Academy, I found that my experience on the mountain prepared me beyond all expectations. As a junior at Auburn University, I approached my studies with great confidence thanks to what I learned at OMA. When I think back on my time on the mountain, I think of my teachers. Their genuine love and concern for me as a student was always evident, and now as an adult, I still foster those relationships. I'm Carly Robinson, an Oak Mountain Academy alum. Visit oakmountain.us to see how you can offer your child an amazing opportunity to be a warrior.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
8:42. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. Also streaming live on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page this morning. Again, if you have a question or comment during the 8:30 to 9 o'clock period, feel free to post that up there, and I'll take a look and share those with our guest, who this morning is a candidate for District 6 Carroll County Commissioner, Danny Bailey. And he was, I don't remember if you're the first one to qualify, but you definitely were the first one that I knew was going to seek this seat. And you talked about going door to door. You've already met a lot of people. What are their biggest concerns? And you may have alluded to it a little bit in the first segment, but what are they telling you? Is there anything that you were surprised to hear from them?
Honestly, there was one area that I was kind of surprised to hear about, and well, I won't say I was surprised, but it was bigger than what I kind of thought it was, and that's my number one thing, and that's being accessible. Regardless of what part of the county I go to or district that I go to, especially in the Mount Zion, the Center Point area, just seemed like that they have felt like they didn't have very good quality represented, or lack of represented, not being up in that area, not being accessible. Just felt like it kind of been left out in that section. So my number one thing is I want to be accessible, and I done that. The way I kind of went out about proving that, I guess to start off with, is I told my wife one night, I said, I think I'm going to put my number on my political sign. And she said, you're crazy. And my answer to her was, I said, well, I want to be different. And I've never seen it done before. So that's the reason I put my number on my sign. I want to make sure people understand that if they have a problem or concern during this election, and it even carries over into if I'm fortunate enough to win this thing. So I want people to know that they can call me, that we can talk about it. I'm going to be accessible. I want to be able to listen to them, and I want to serve them. Not that I can fix anything, because there is, like one of the other candidates made, there's 7 on that board. But the fact is, we got to build that partnership, because this is the largest geographical district in the county. And there's no way that I'll be able to know what's going on in every aspect of it. But if I build that partnership with these individuals throughout these communities around here, then I can get that information, and we can feel free to have that conversation and be able to attend community meetings in those areas. I want to be really active everywhere I go, not just in the part of the district I live in, but in all part of the districts.
So being accessible means holding town hall meetings and,
yes,
and being in Mount Zion.
Absolutely.
And you're confident you've got the time to attend all the meetings, 2 meetings every month, and respond to any kind of call that's made to you.
Absolutely. That's one thing that I kind of weighed that out the last couple of times I thought about it. My youngest daughter was still in school, and she was very active in sports and everything. So those times have kind of gone by. So I think now that I have the job that I do, that allows me a little bit of time that if I need to take off during the day or I need to rearrange my schedule, I can. In the afternoons, those times are free because, like I said, the ball and still very active in our church. So those would be probably taking the majority of my time. So yes, I feel like I have plenty of time to take care of this.
Danny Bailey, our guest on this morning's Community Voice, one of 4 candidates running for County Commissioner to represent District 6 here in Carroll County. What experience do you have working with budgets?
All right, well, in the fire service when I was there, of course, we look at projects and things we want to do and try to plan. But then I also owned a small lawn care business back in those days, too, that I worked for myself. The biggest experience I guess I got has come since I was a general manager of a business over in Bowden. Ran that business for about 7 years, so took care of every aspects of that business. So we've done budgets and planning, advertising, the whole 9 yards now. And then the job I have now, I work for a distributing company, which I am a territory manager, and I handle about 120 accounts that I have. And that is just not selling, it's managing those business, help them grow that business, looking at their budgets, what they can do. And so the territory was able to double in the last 2 years. So I feel really comfortable in that.
And that's probably the main thing throughout the year. I mean, it's just a period of time that you focus on it, but I guess you have to consider the budget all throughout the year.
That's right.
But another big thing that commissioners pops up on the agenda maybe 2 or 3 times every month is rezoning.
Yes.
How do you tell somebody what they can? How do you work it out? Whether you can decide whether you can tell somebody what they can and can't do with that property.
And kind of glad we get into that conversation, because that is probably one of the finest lines in this whole government thing you can do. Because when we look at that comprehensive plan, and the key to that, I think, is we got to make sure that thing is updated. We got to make sure that it is applied fairly across the board. But it goes back again. You try to put yourself each side, and you look at this, but there's a fine line when you tell a man what he can and can't do, but also, man, when it starts infringing on other people's rights, then you got to look at that. And I think you have to look at each and every situation a little different and see what precedents you've set in the past, and then go from there. But it's I put myself in that, and I thought about it. Now, if I own this piece of property, I want to do with it, why can they tell me I can't? Well, it goes back again, man. You just very fine line. It's very important to have people in that position of zoning and planning to lay that plan out like it needs to be, and make sure we think through it and not just shooting from the hip on that thing.
And you mentioned updating, making sure the ordinances are updated,
Yes.
and that takes us back to this rock quarry issue.
Mm-hmm.
At the point where the developers, people who own that land in Whitesburg,
That's right.
they planned on doing a rock quarry, and
Yes.
at that time they were eligible. There was not an issue with the zoning. And that goes back to the updating, so that, that's good. But what would your responsibility be as a commissioner when you see something that might be questionable that is going up? I'm not saying it was Ernie's District 5 commissioners. It was his territory, and I'm not sure if he was aware that it was going up or not. But when that plan was going, what would your responsibility have been? Should you have notified the community if you were aware that a rock quarry, even though it was zoned fine? Because that's something that potentially could bug people. We know what things might annoy people being in their community. Yeah. What would your responsibility be to that business, and then your responsibility to constituents? And is it 50-50? Do you have a bigger responsibility to one or the other?
Well, I guess it does. If the constituents that's trying to start that business are in that district, then I think you have to look at that in you have to be 50-50, because they also live in that district. So you represent them as a city, not just as a business owner, or as a citizen, not just a business owner. But say if it's an outside business, then I think your obligation really lies with those citizens of that district. And I think you have to really talk to them and pay attention to see what they want. Being a commissioner is not for me to come in and lay down Danny Bailey's thoughts or what he wants done. My job is to go back out and listen to the constituents and represent those people. And there again, I think sometimes we forget that. We get caught up in the moment of who the project belongs to or that kind of thing. When I come in, if I'm fortunate enough to be here, I'm going to listen to the citizens. And my job is to do what they want me to do and vote the way they want me to do. And so, but I will say also, along with that same lines, sometimes you can't just look at what's best for District 6. You got to look at what's best for Carroll County.
I went around the long way trying to ask that question different than I normally do, so I'm still glad you got it and you answered it good. Danny Bailey, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Before we take our second break here, tax allocation district in Villa Rica. Villa Rica voters approved giving the city of Villa Rica permission to seek that and to benefit from that in some way. A gentleman has come in, Fuqua Industries, and he plans to build about 500 residences, whether townhomes and an apartment, also a brand new grocery store, and it'll be a plaza mall that has some stores attached to it. In doing that, though, he expects the city of Villa Rica and Carroll County will pay for the infrastructure to get into that property, and that would require city intergovernmental agreement with Carroll County Board of Education, and Villa Rica to let Carroll County government and Carroll County Board of Education kind of ignore additional taxes that could be collected maybe over 10 years. Legally, that paper says 50 years. Nobody thinks it'll go 50 years, but they're signing a document that would say 50 years.
That's right.
Do you have any feelings on that? Have you been able to study that at all? And you probably wouldn't have to deal with this particular one next year.
Yeah.
But there could be tax in the future.
Well, I have looked at it a little bit, and what I do know about it, and of course I'm not privy to all the information, but what I do know is the infrastructure part of it's going to be tough. Basically, you asking the citizens of Carroll County, not Villa Rica, to pay for that infrastructure, and I don't know if that's really necessary. What we need to do, and also you got to look at the precedents you setting. So we say we do this for Villa Rica, and I'm not saying I would or wouldn't because I don't have enough information, but I'm saying if we do this for Villa Rica, does that set the precedence that we come back and we open that door for every city that comes in and wants that done for them? And then the other concern I got, 30 and 50 years is a long time to tie somebody to something down the road. So I do have some concerns about it, but I don't have enough information to say if I would or would not vote on it.
And hopefully the current commissioners, and the Board of Education are considering all those things as well.
Yeah.
Our guest this morning, Danny Bailey, one of 4 candidates for Carroll County Commission to represent District 6, is our guest on this morning's Community Voice. We'll take our final break. More Community Voice after this.
Oak Mountain Academy has offered a challenging college preparatory education for 60 years. With over 500 graduates, we have maintained a 100% college acceptance rate. Over 90% of our students earn acceptance to their first choice of college or university, and over the past 5 years, our students have earned over $10 million in scholarship offers. Our students are creating a legacy. Come, be a part of our family and create your own legacy today. To learn more, visit us at oakmountain.us.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
8:51, the WLBB Community Voice program for this Monday. I'm your host, Colin Worthington. Our guest is Carroll County Commission District 6 candidate Danny Bailey. He's one of 4 candidates on the May 24th general primary ballot. And Kenneth Huddleston, Vicki Anderson, and Debbie Neal are the other candidates for that District 6 race. Again, it's kind of focus on the fact that it's in Bowden and Mount Zion and a little bit of Carrollton as well. So, but if you don't know if you're in that district or not, I encourage you to go to the elections office or even their website and find out. Check out the new maps because, again, they were redrawn based on the 2020 census. All right, back to our candidate, Danny Bailey. Do you think county taxes are too high, or too low? They're just right, considering what the county has to offer?
Well, and you have to look at that. When you get your tax bill, I guess one of the things that as a citizen probably looks at, he looks at that bottom line. May have to look at that and kind of divide out how much the county gets out of that. And so it really depends on your thoughts if the county taxes are too high or not based on what services we want. Everybody wants services, but then we struggle to try to get to that point where we want taxes. So I'm definitely a proponent of lower taxes as low as you can, but it also goes back to, like I said, what services are you wanting and what are you willing to give up if we lower those taxes and how we spend that money and the projects we spend on it. And so you have to look at the whole picture, I think.
If the chief financial officer came to the Board of Commissioners and said, well, we've got to make some cuts, what was the first department that you'd actually look? Not to say that you would cut them, but what would be the first one that you would go look into and see if there are things that could be cut?
That'd be tough because, like I said, all departments are going to be important on that thing. I would hope we'd be able to get in there and look at just some different areas that we can make a consensus across the board. And I know that's not trying to get around the answer, but I just don't really know what department we'd start at without having that information. I know it definitely will not be public safety because I think that's the number one concern of most people in this county is being able to have that safety of fire department and sheriff's department. And even goes over into West Georgia ambulances and being able to work with those to make sure they're getting what they need from the county to services. Danny Bailey, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. What career accomplishments are you most proud? Your own accomplishments? Oh, very, very proud of the time I served in the fire service and public safety because I did work for West Georgia Ambulance for a period of time for I think probably about 4 or 5 years, on and off, part-time and then full-time. Probably one of my proudest career achievements. Then the other part is the part I had in opening the business in Bowden and helping run that store, and basically took that from the ground up from a brand new business to one of the largest dealers of that brand product, and I won't mention the brand product on there. But so very proud of those two. So I think the business side of it is, and being able to look at the situation as a whole and just being able to do it. So I'm very proud of those two things. Good deal. Again, Danny Bailey, our guest on this morning's Community Voice, one of 4 candidates running for Carroll County Commissioner for District 6. Again, you've gone
door to door, plenty of things. And are you having to let people know that they live in this district? I mean, are some people surprised that they live in this district, or do they, just to know that somebody's running other than George? Because I don't think George has been opposed maybe the last couple of times.
That's correct. I don't think he has. And yes, some of the outlying areas, when you get into the Mount Zion area, the Center Point area, some of the folks doesn't realize it, but I was surprised too how many people really know where that line's at. And I guess it just goes back to how much you're really interested in the politics and local government. So it's kind of a mix, 50-50.
Yeah, but that's good to see that people are.
It is.
Are aware.
It is.
I wondered how much of your campaign would be, educating people. That'd be
a little bit of it is, and that part's okay. And then a lot of questions I get is what is how long I've been in this district, or how that kind of thing. But overall, I think most people realize where they live at and what they got going on.
This is an easier question to ask somebody who's been here, their whole life. Who and people might recognize your answers here. Who are your mentors? Who are the people that you looked up to your whole life, to help guide you?
Hey, it was a friend of mine. I was talking about it yesterday, and I done a Facebook post yesterday, and with Miss Newell out of Bowden. And if anybody has ever grew up in Bowden, they know Miss Newell. And she was a bus driver and a parapro in the school, and just a great lady. And there's people like her and Dr. Oldfield. And I got some great mentors at church where I go to, older deacons. That I won't call them all out on here, but man, those people. And you look back and Dr. Oldfield was my principal in high school. He just had a way of being very firm but fair, and that showed me a lot. And that's kind of my philosophy. I'm gonna be fair. I'm just going to shoot it straight the way I am, and my thoughts on the way that I look at things. And I'm going to try to be fair when I make a judgment, where it's voting for something or where it's even with my kids. And so there's been a lot of people in my lifetime that's kind of helped mold me, and of course my parents and everything. Are
you comfortable seeking help and seeking advice if there's something you're struggling with on the on the board, a question, decision you have to make? You're okay reaching out to people?
Absolutely. I think that shows a willingness to communicate, and there again it goes back and shows that it's not about the individual, the person that's the commissioner. It goes about trying to look at what's best for the district. And if you're not comfortable taking advice, or at least seeking it out there, not necessarily saying that you're going to agree with it and that's the way you're going to go, but I don't know if that's not an issue, or maybe a little bit arrogance on your part. Actually, definitely need to be in spiritual consultation about things you vote on and everything else like that. So,
right. Danny Bailey, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, going to wrap up our show here. I guess first of all, you have a Facebook page, website, things that people can go check out.
Have a Facebook page, have a political page, and I also have my personal page, so they can go to that, kind of keep up with it, and kind of see what I'm out doing. And hopefully, if they got any questions, they shoot them to me. My phone number, like I said, is on my sign, so feel free to call me. I can say that 100% honesty. I want to hear from you, and my goal is always to return that phone call within 24 hours, and that'll be the same mentality that I carry over into this if I'm the commissioner's elected as next commissioner.
No, you're walking down my street in District 6, and I've got a minute to go. I'm running to work, and I finally let you in my fence and decide that you're all right to come in. I've put the dog away and everything. What are you going to tell me in that 1 minute?
First and foremost, I introduce myself, tell you who I am, tell you what I'm about, where I come from. Then I ask you what's important to you, and then I want to hear from you. So I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about me. And then when they get to talking, once they tell me what they want, if they want to know some more information about me, I allow those questions to come to me. But the biggest part of this thing is, as far as me and these constituents, is listening and then taking that information and trying to decide what's best for this county. That's the way I kind of came up with my platform. I had a couple of people ask me, what's your platform? Well, it wasn't because I didn't have one. I knew what Danny Bailey thought, but I wasn't sure what the constituents out here thought and what the citizens thought. So I wanted to make sure that I listened to them. And those are the top three things that they've come up with me about, or I feel like that's what the majority of them has been.
Danny Bailey, one of 4 candidates running for Carroll County Board of Commissioners to represent District 6. Again, Election Day is May 24th. No Democrats running in this race, so that primary will pick the winner. Always the potential for a runoff when you have 4 candidates in there. But, Danny, good to meet you. And
nice to meet you. I appreciate it this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on the program. And thank you for listening to this morning's show. Tomorrow, Karen Handel, Carroll County Chamber of Commerce President, will be our guest. I hope you'll tune in at 8:30 for that. Have a great Monday.